So hi, good evening friends. Welcome again to the masterclass on New Age Media Careers. And today we are really fortunate to have a thought leader, a global personality in the field of public relations, corporate communications, CSR, how to merge and make brands, how to use ideas and convert them into branding opportunities, how to resolve crisis. And I would like to welcome Mr. Paresh Chaudhary, Group President, Corporate Brand Custodian at the Adani Group. He manages a very big, huge global responsibility to take care of the brand Adani in the various segments in which the Adani Group operates across the globe. Mr. Paresh, I would like to introduce you to the audiences. Typically, this is a master class for the graduating students of University of Mumbai. We also have a lot of alumnus, working professionals, and faculty members who are a part of this program. It was a 7-day masterclass series where we had identified various kind of media verticals in which there are potentials of great career opportunities for our young student friends. Yeah, so we had Mr. Bhaskar Das who gave a brief about media review. We had Mr. Vivek Bhargava from Dentsu who gave the world of digital and social media. We had Brian Tellis who told us about what the entire world of events and celebrity management and how brands are created through events and experiences. I myself took a session yesterday on courses and careers in the 21st century, and today we are fortunate to have you to tell us what is this world of public relations, corporate communication, journalism, media, how they all merge into a meaningful activity. So the format is such that we have people already here. They are allowed to ask questions. I'm going to run a quick poll so we both also come to know what kind of audiences are listening to us today on our show. And this program, I must tell you, is a fantastic initiative by the Department of Mass Media, the Board of Studies Chairman, Mr. Sundar Rajdeep at the University of Mumbai, who really encouraged us to do this wonderful activity for the student and the faculty community. So let me take the privilege of introducing Mr. Paresh, and I have known Mr. Paresh for a very long time, almost 2 decades. We worked together on a lot of social and informal occasions. We have been a part of Roundtable India, which is a very progressive NGO which works with the education of underprivileged children. Paresh has given a lot of his time, thought, and efforts with organizations starting from a Ranbaxy to the Hindustan Unilever. At global levels, global roles, he was one of the core team members and in the global entire arena for the Reliance industry with Mr. Mukesh Ambani ji, and currently with the Adani Group and handling really diverse responsibilities in the group. Paresh is a great musician, music lover, foodie, and also a very, very dear friend. And welcome, Paresh, and I hand it over to you. You can take us through the entire landscape of public relations, media, and merge it with entertainment, CSR, which is very big, and how to manage it. I say you can go through that. Then by the time my teams are collecting the questions, so friends, please ask your questions in Q&A. You have already sent many of the questions to us, and we will compile that. And after 20-25 minutes, I will ask a few questions which we have compiled, Paresh, and then we will open the entire floor for people to ask live audio questions.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah. So welcome again on the masterclass. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. I think Sam is one of those innovators and always thinking educationist who always looks at the benefits of students and what is in store for them for the next 10, 20, 40 years of their careers. So great initiative, a masterclass. I'm a University of Bombay student and did my physics and honors from here and my management, and happy to connect with all the students and of the university. This word PR is a very badly used, abused word. And I always joke around whenever I'm talking larger conferences that public relations is done by every single Indian. Everyone does jugaad, and it's called jugaad, it's called PR. Apart from Dr. Manmohan Singh, I think everybody in this country has done some bit of PR in their lives. Jokes apart, I think public relations is just a small facet of the overall arching facet of management, which is called corporate communications. And I've moved on from corporate communications to something called the brand custodianship. So I'm the brand custodian of the Adani Group. as I was for the Reliance Industries and with Unilever across about 85, 87 markets. Uh, I always tell people that if there is any facet which makes people happy about the organization they are working in, or people aspire to join a company, that work is done by corporate communications and brand custodian people, right? Because you share good news, you create a house, which is the company, and the house has to look so nice and clean with manicured gardens, clean windows, nice roof, not dilapidated place. So that is the public image or the image of the house or the company or the people that you work for the CEO, for the chairman, for the CMO, who should always look good in the eyes of people who are in front of the house. And they call stakeholders, right? So stakeholders, like are your own people within the family, which is your employees, your partners, the government, the media, the NGOs, the communities, the partners, the banks, the lenders, all of them, the contract workers, everyone who's associated indirectly or directly with the company. So people should look at the house and say, it's a nice house. I aspire to stay and build a house like this sometime in future. And after 2008 and also recently, how many of these companies have gone down because one thing that they've missed out is communication in crisis, being transparent, being honest as to where you are. People are very forgiving. You made a mistake, you will come out and say that I've made a mistake, but this is my real intent. People will forgive you. But if you try to be smart, if you try to mess around with the system, if you're trying to take shortcuts, if you're not looking at your stakeholders, at your shareholders' interests, your employees' interest, that is when the companies fall. And I think our job as corporate communicators is not just communicating the company's activities, it's also holding the brand like this. Because the brand will always and has always been the hero. People who are building the brands around our ecosystem, the brand will always remain the hero. So while brand custodianship is a big term, there's just 3 or 4 simple assets to it. It's called internal communications, which is to your employees, to your partners, to your past employees, which is alumni, and also a big role of our external communicators. That means how you deal with the media, how you deal with corporate social responsibility, how you project yourself as a socially responsible organization. How do you raise the profile of the thought leadership of the management of the company, which is talking to bankers like your finance team, IT, which is making and building a safe, good IT system for you to communicate in terms of new technologies. How do you work with the HR and HR communications? And that means how you are engaging with the employees to make them brand ambassadors. And there's corporate affairs with the government. So your role is really the fulcrum. And we are typically communication business partners of all of these people that I mentioned. So I'm the communication partner of the chairman, work with the chairman directly, with the promoters, or with the top management. And my job is to ensure that what they speak, what they communicate outside, how we build a back end is absolutely clear, it's transparent, it's consistent, and it is sustainable. So there are a number of responsibilities. If you look at the job weightage of a corporate communication person, to me, 30 to 35% of your job weightage must be with employees and internal communications. That means working with your partners. Because if you're building good brand ambassadors, if you're building solid people who, every employee has a 32 or 34 touch points in his life, right? It's your immediate family, your batchmates, right? When you get married, your wife's side of people, there are 32 touch points. If you're unhappy in life, a lot of people assume that you're in a bad company. Yeah, you could have your own personal problems, but look at the perception. And that 32 has a 4x alpha. So you can imagine 120, 130 people at any point of time think that you are a depressed person or you're unhappy because of the company that you are working in, right? It could be a boss, it could be working culture, but it could be something else. And therefore, to create strong brand ambassadors, and that's your job, communicate to the employees, tell them what's happening in the company, get in the pride and engage with them at all times is your job. You'll wonder what is HR doing. HR has got its own sections of hiring and firing and keeping policies. But the true communicator has a direct interface with the employee. In fact, a lot of times I personally, in my very large roles in large companies, I've gone to the grassroots, had focus groups with employees, not with an HR person there, but speaking to them as to how is the work culture? What is it that's bothering you? What is that is good about your job and about the company? You bring that feedback and you do something about it to rectify it. And that's real employee engagement, right? People open up to a corporate communicator more to an HR. And I've had this many debates that where will the baby of employee engagement lie? Will it lie with the HR or will it lie with the corporate communicator or the brand custodian? And I think brand custodian is the right lap that the employee engagement should lie, because that's a very, very clear, unbiased relationship that we've got. 30% of your job weightage would be external, which is really managing media relationships, media engagement, being proactive, and stuff like that, right? You also deal with NGOs and communities. Some part of the 20% of your job would be to build a good socially responsible organization. That means just not the CSR bit, which is now a 2% compulsory company bill that the government of India has passed 5 years ago. But this is about genuine community work, genuine social, economic, and environmental impacts that the company does while it's operating as a business unit. And that genuine touch points, that compassion, that empathy that you show will make you a socially responsible company. And then there's a research which says that there are people, there are consumers who will be more loyal to you. 18% more times they'll be loyal to you if you're a socially responsible, seem to be a socially responsible person, than just showing profits quarter on quarter, year on year. Because as you know, consumer loyalty is falling every hour that we are engaging and speaking as of now. Pre and post-COVID, I'll come to that. That's a huge amount of change that we will see with the media, with the print media, et cetera, et cetera. So therefore, I think this whole job weightage that you also have a responsibility of brand communications. So for that, some sense of having marketing as a backdrop, understanding what consumers feel, insights from consumers, will give you a better sense of how to then communicate to the consumers through your marketing team when you have public awareness, messages or brand campaigns, and how to then be a gatekeeper for brand campaigns. Because that's the marketing job. But as a corporate communicator, you'll be able to add value whether this tonality of communication will work with the consumer or not, based on how he thinks about you as an organization. So therefore, having a marketing brand management backdrop or some experience or some qualification will help you to do a damn good job in terms of marketing communications, brand and marketing communications, right? So these are some of the stuff that happens within the gamut. And what keeps me busy all day is to ensure that we are a proactive department, a proactive unit. So if if there's a query from the media, if there are somebody is trying to play foul or try to put some kind of story which is against you, you need to engage with them, give them the right information, and make sure that the story which comes up next day in the print or online is balanced, it is neutral, so that people don't say that, look, I try to reach out to the company, but nobody bothered to get back to me. So I'm going to write the story based on my sources. And the sources can be placed, misplaced, can be magnified, can be manipulated by our competitors, by the opposition. So the various factors which actually bring in your company into negative news because you're not engaging, because you're not sharing information with the journalist or with the government or with the NGO or with an activist who feels that, your company needs to do these things better to say manage the environment or to have a proper social connect. So engagement with these, continuous engagement with these guys is extremely important for people to say that if I go to this company for information, I will get the right information and I'll get the information on time, right? So these are some of the jobs that keeps me busy. There are the various protests that keeps on happening in this country and also outside. You'll also appreciate what is happening with Adani Group in Australia, where we're building a very large mine. be going by the law, but the protesters have made life so difficult, and they're carrying all kind of fake news, which impacts the overall brand. And therefore, how important it is for me to engage with these group of people and to convince them that whatever the company does, this company is doing for the benefit of the people of Queensland or of Australia, in terms of bringing in money and exchequers and jobs for a lot of people. At the same time, making sure that the impact on external environment, etc., is going to be as per the norms by the government of Australia. So a lot of stuff which happens. There's a lot of storytelling that we do from the company's point of view. For example, in COVID, the amount of help that the Adani Group has reached out to the central government, to the various state governments. Through Adani Foundation, we reached out to millions of people on the ground which needed help. Not just food and shelter, but women empowerment, skilling, training, masks with the ventilators, opening up our hospitals to ensure that free treatment and free cases are being done on the affected people, right? So all this communication that we did in the last 3 weeks, it's actually touched 190 million people in India, 190 million. So it just goes to show that if you're doing good work, if you're doing community work, if you're doing social work, if you're doing some stuff on the environment, if you're doing some stuff on something called the ESG, which is environment, social, and governance, and they treat you as a credible company, people will engage more with you. People will absorb and consume that news much more than just a brand launch or just a M&A activity that we bought this company, from the NCLT proceedings. So the tonality of voice, your brand promise, your brand positioning is important. But when you are positioning your brand, and what is brand positioning? Brand positioning, nothing but what do other people will think about your brand when I think about Adani or a Reliance or a Mukesh Ambani or a Mr. Modi or a Rahul Gandhi or a Trump. So that's the brand positioning. And the brand positioning has to be real. It has to communicate the same messages consistently. Your body language, your tonality has to be humble. The tonality has to be in line with the positioning, etc., etc., etc. So I think these are all the jobs that a corporate communicator does. You guys are all now final student of BMM. You've done some work for 3 years on mass media. You've obviously done some work on advertising. There have been some chapters and some subjects on events, on public relations. I think, what does it teach you? What does all these 3 years that you have studied in BMM teach you? Teaches you the importance of media. Teaches you the power of media. Teaches you the way you would communicate your key messages consistently to a group of people. It teaches you that if you're not transparent, teaches you if you're not honest, you will lose credibility. How to build credibility of the brand. It teaches you many, many ways of storytelling or story writing. It teaches you what is the messages. It teaches you who are the messengers. And today, and not just COVID, but in the last, I used to work with Hindustan Levers about 10 years ago, and I was heading communications for a very large region within Unilever, and I was in London for some time. But Hindustan Lever then and now still remains to be the #1 advertiser in India. #1. Today, its advertising spends are close to 3,500 to 4,000 crores. 10 years ago, it was about 1,500, 1,800 crores. By far the largest advertisers. That spend on total budget of advertising, which was 90% on print and television, has come down to about 50% on print and television. And 40% is now allocated to digital and social media. Everyone is going digital, and I think you've also done a master class with a good friend of mine called Vivek, and you understand the importance of digital. So another skill set that you must add to your BMM, and there are multiple courses that is available. Nyanku will also help you out. The courses which will give you a 3 months course or a 2 months course on digital and social media PR. So digital PR is very different from what we would do in terms of messaging on social media. But people are moving to digital social because it's becoming an internet savvy country. Technology is moving ahead. The levels of education is going up in rural India. You'll see that the print will now, slowly over a period of time, will come down. Anyway, it's struggling. It's only thanks to rural India where people are getting more educated. So they read the newspapers. In urban centers, you see that it's all on mobile, on the go, it's on your laptop, it's on your phone, right? And post-COVID, you will see that the dependence on print, early morning economic times or Times of India in my hand and Mint will slowly keep coming down at the urban centers. I'm not saying that the print editions on PDF or on online will disappear, not as of now, because they are credible newspapers over 50, 80, 100 years. And people would love to be in touch with news from that point of view. But digital and social media is where people are moving. So not just the marketing and brand management understanding. And if you got a job in sales earlier, we're doing some internship in sales, pure sales management. You know, I still remember in my first year of MBA, I'd gone to a company called Godfrey Phillips. It's called GPI, which sells Foursquare cigarettes. And I used to live in Bandra. I used to be positioned in Muhammad Ali Road and the whole Tardeo area for a month selling Foursquare cigarettes on the streets. That experience of that 45 days that I spent selling cigarettes, and I had to write a form, you know, as a feedback from people. That experience of meeting 50 consumers every single day and talking to them, understanding what they feel about cigarettes and smoking and price and the pricing factor and the packaging, and it gave me a great insight about what consumers are. Thank God that my first jobs, I started my career in marketing and sales with Work Hard and with Raymond's, etc. And that's given me a great stead today to manage communications because I understand what consumers are. I understand marketing, brand management. So it's important to have that. If you have not done a course, say 3 months, 6 months, certification course, 40 days courses, put your hand on digital. Don't look at what BMM will teach you for all those 2 or 5 lectures or 10 lectures. Do a course on digital marketing, digital PR, and social media activations. It'll take you a long way in saying, how does it work? How can you simply target a group of people in Juhu and Bandra and in Timbuktu? So that's the level of technology now people have got into. So that's again skill sets that you must get into. As far as jobs are concerned, and I think we will have those questions a little later, but as far as jobs are concerned, I think some degree of post-graduation, some degree of a 1-year course in XIC or from Symbiosis, as something more specialized courses on communications, right? Or there are also courses on sustainability management. If you can do that, it'll give you a better entry into either a PR agency or the client sides, which is from the corporate side, as a role of maybe an executive or a management trainee in communications, and then from there you grow. You can also get to choose jobs in journalism, right? And journalism now is changing so much. It is not that, you know, I will file 1 story a day and that's about it. You've got to be so technologically savvy. You need to have technical knowledge about what's happening around the world, geopolitical knowledge about what's happening between say China and US trades, what's happening within the trade between India and other countries, what's happening cross-border. So continuously try and be in the shoes of the product or the brand or the company that you aspire to work for. And I always keep saying this, that a very good PR manager must be a brand manager. If you're not a brand manager would mean that you understand the brand inside out. If you're tomorrow announced or you're deputed as the CMO or the Chief Marketing Officer of, say, Kellogg's or Britannia, you should be able to talk their language of marketing, brand promise, brand positioning, DNA, tonality, distribution, supply chain, consumer insights, research, analytical data. You should be able to speak that language. And it's not rocket science, guys. It's not rocket science, right? I've just been an MBA with marketing in '87, and my campus job was Raymond's. I also got into ITC hotels, and then into Work Hard hospitals, managing Work Hard, launching Work Hard Hospital, then launching Fortis through Ranbaxy, and then with SmithKline Beecham, we launched vaccines and it launched anti-infectives into this country, right? It was crazy, from pharmaceuticals to vaccines to DNAs and to looking at what Belgium is, how they're making vaccines, and what's happening in India. We call Choti Mata and all the myths around it. And then to Ranbaxy as a global head, and then to Levers. It was all diverse organizations, diverse product lines. diverse utility B2B, B2C companies. But if you are passionate, this job of communications, public relations, and I can tell you, again, I keep telling you, coming back to the point I made 5 minutes ago, is on brand PR and the passion to raise the brand profile, make it a hero. So everybody can say, oh, wow, what a great brand. I would love to work for this brand. I want to join this company. I want to buy their products. Gaining the love and respect of stakeholders. You can only do that in this job of corporate communications because you are the one who is giving out good news, who's shaping the perceptions of people. So if you have the passion, getting knowledge about vaccines or understanding how the oil rigs and the refining of Mukesh Ambani Reliance works in Jamnagar to Gautam Adani's power plant, or how does the port work, becomes very, very easy. But the passion is the only consistency, along with transparency and honesty, and saying that I will do proactive work all the time is the only thing that you require for this job. You might get some education, you might get some, some data, like what I mentioned about, getting some courses on digital, but being passionate about raising the brand and people saying, wow, I think the reputation of this company is because of this team of people who've constantly worked hard to raise the profile. That means constant engagement with people, engagement with media, solving the queries, giving out the right information, forming up storylines, being proactive about your communication and making the house look good is your job. So entry levels, and we'll come to questions, but entry levels, agency, journalism, which now quite a paying profession. Post-COVID, I think there are a lot of question marks about will the print survive, etc. But I think India is a very emerging market, is still a developing economy, and we'll see print not going down in a hurry, although digital and social media is rising and growing at 35-40%, while print is growing at about 8%, TV is growing at about 14-15%. So that's another great area that you can be in. So I'm open for questions and I'm open for engagement.
Hi, Paresh. That was fantastic. So what all you said now, Paresh, it is an integrated kind of activity which a public relations manager does. So then what are the kind of skills a young professional would need to be in this field? Because what I clearly understand, it's not about only marketing or branding. It is about understanding HR. It's about financial implications, because you may also do press releases and investor meets. It's also about productions and operations. It's also about dealing with CSR initiatives of the company. So when a young individual comes into this field, how does he grows and what is that he needs? That is one question. Second question is, how is a role of a public relation or a Corpcom executive different at the client side and at the
Agency.
or a agency side? So many students still have the feeling कि मैं PR agency में काम करूँगा.
Good idea. Good question.
They feel कि PR, everything is about PR agency. So this was an amazing perspective for our students that you are working within the company also, and you have so much to do.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
what
good
is
question.
the difference typically, on working as an agency or as a client?
Yeah. So good question. I'll take the first question first. I think, Sam, that was the second question was really brilliant. I didn't cover it in my context. But guys, don't worry about your skills too much when you're in the final year of BMM. Like I said earlier, remember 2 or 3 things. If you can read up something on consumer insights, on marketing, brand management, product management, it'll be very good for you. And there are multiple courses. Yangpu can actually help you giving those courses out. There are online courses, there are other courses. So understanding what is marketing, how does supply chain work, what are consumer behavior, and therefore all the insights and how people then turn around and supply and push, making sure that you have a shelf space higher than your competitors. Understanding marketing, right? Second one is, you are not going to be, if you're not a finance student, if you just done your, say, 12 standards and you're just doing your BMM, you're not going to understand finance so much. Trust me, after so many years, sometimes I still struggle on the nuances of financial management. Because I sit my CFO, any new M&As that happen, large buys and tricky buys, I still have to understand that. So it'll come with the job. So don't worry about that. Basic understanding of P&L, works, helps. You have a couple of classes and subjects in financial management in BMM, I understand. Maybe do a little bit, maybe a 2-week or 3-week course on the basics of finance or basics of financial management. Third, and the most easiest way to do this is employee engagement. So read up on some case studies of human resource stories or HR stories by good organizations. So Tata is a great example. Infosys is a great example. Of course, Unilever is a great example. P&G is a great example. Mahindra and Mahindra, Aditya Birla Group, all these Indian companies, Reliance now. You look at Adani Group for 2 years, the kind of employee engagement we do outside. When I was sitting outside, I didn't have the right perception. Today, when I see the employee engagement with Adani Group, wow, it's as good as any other company globally. So read up on some of these case studies on what does an employee think about the organization when he comes back or comes to work. What does he want? What is it for him? And how do we communicate that? So what are the myths that he's got in his mind, and how do we engage with him? How do we raise his profile? So 3 or 4 these things, if you can understand and learn, don't worry about government affairs too much, right? Managing media, writing, putting a key messaging, you already done some stuff in PMM. When you come into the corporate life or the agency life, you will get it hands-on. So you will learn it hands-on. So there's no worry on it. Sustainability and CSR is very important. There are multiple case studies from ITC to a P&G to a Hindustan Lever and to many companies in India which has taken social responsibility to the next level. Read up on case studies, very simple case studies. You'll understand the genuinity of promoters or companies reaching out to communities to help work. So read up on those so you get live examples, right? On the second question, the difference between a PR agency and a company. Well, actually, that it's quite significantly different. If you get an entry job into a PR agency, you will come at the lowest level as an executive, right? And you will be a part of a team, say, which manages a consumer vertical, or a technology vertical, or a finance vertical, or there's a bunch of companies that are assigned to one account director. Under the account director, there are 4 or 5 people, and there are 5 or 7 brands or clients that you manage. So while working on those multiple brands, you will get to know what are the nuances of storytelling, what's happening with competitors, what is ET going to write, what do you think that Mint wants, what do you think the Times of India wants, what does CNBC want, and what does ET now want. You'll get to know within 6 to 8 months, 1 year, you'll get some sense of the profile of journalist, the medium called pink papers or the finance papers versus the national dailies. The importance of regional media. I don't know if you know this, if you look at the top 10 newspapers in India, Times of India ranks 7th with a reach of about 9.5 million people, right? All the balance 9 are all regional papers. The Dainik Jagrans, the Amar Ujalas, the one from the east. There are papers from the south. These sell 25, 30 million copies circulated. Reach is much more. So the importance of regional media, importance of changing the same story in a different language, but the tonality changes. The behavior and the attitude of the story changes to suit those kind of consumers. So you understand that. But to answer Sam's question, I think he's got from one of the participants. PR agencies who work for clients are forever running after coverages. Because the client says at the end of the month, how much of coverages have you got from me for these 3 press releases? What have you done for this crisis? There's a fire in the factory, or there was a financial embezzlement case which happened somewhere else. There's a human rights issue that happened in one of our villages that we are working on. What is it that you've done to make sure the negative news doesn't come out and your positive news has gone up? So forever, the agency guys are running after coverages, column centimeter. Or that I've got front page, I've got page number 3, I've got a picture of the CEO, I've got a picture of the product. In this running melee of trying to show coverages to the client, what's missing out is the strategic thinking behind the brand. So when I say strategic thinking is nothing but how do we make this brand come alive with your targeted shareholders or stakeholders. That means it's a 360 degree. What is the medium that I will use? What will be the key messages, say in the North? How will I engage with this media separately? The strategic thinking behind the brand and the brand positioning bit is what gets missed out. If you come to an organization or the client side, because you are focusing on that one company, whether it's like Adani Group or Reliance, which is multifaceted, multiple companies, some retail, consumer facing, or utility, or even for example, Adani Oils, we are into Adani Power, defense, we are into so many, Adani Gas, Adani Ports. You will be able to focus on the brand strategy for that company. And therefore, how do you raise the profile from the ecosystem around the company? Then you start thinking strategy. Then you start thinking reputation dashboard. Then you will not just think about coverages. And like I said earlier in my context, only 30% is your role for media management. The rest is internal, and the rest is brand communications and how do you communicate. And so that's the big difference that I see between agency and a client side.
So Paresh, the next question I'm getting is from students, which is a little more academic in nature. So, so I'm compiling around 15, 16 different kind of questions and putting it in one or two. So they are asking, is it it is becoming evident that you need professional qualification in management, whether marketing or public relation or communication. Just a fresher doesn't have that big scope to get into the world of PR, media, advertising. So that is one question. Do we need postgraduate qualification, and if then what kind of qualification? One which we answered also, but because so there are questions, comments saying ki was what we thought was not this complex. So there are questions again, people ki I want to be a sports journalist, I want to be a fashion journalist, I want to work in brand launches. So all of this also again requires understanding of marketing, branding, sports, some kind of integration of curriculum and content. Is that correct? Or a fresher can just get as an executive and then move his way up?
Yeah. So if I'll give you an example. Sam, good question. I'll give you an example. So I know where the question is coming from. At this juncture of your third year BMM, you're wondering what else do I do next? But I'm sure there is some area of interest that you've got. Somebody will have sports. Somebody will say that I want to do only FMCG, shampoos, very the sexy FMCG. Somebody will say I want to do, say, fast moving consumer goods. Yeah. Someone will say I love pharmaceuticals because my father has been pharma for like 20 years. So pharma marketing is important because it saves lives, etc. Wherever that interest you've got, you pick that interest. It could be one or two or three, it doesn't matter. So don't worry about that one interest. It could be one or two or three. Read up on that. Read up upon the case studies on that specific vertical. Join the company or agency that you want to do. If you're into sports, then look at a company which is not just a sports management company. It could be Puma, for example, right? Or it could be Nike. It could be P&G. It could be Red Bull. Red Bull has a completely music and sports vertical, and they integrate the brand into the TGs. Look at these companies which has got a sports as a product or sports line as a product. Look at Reliance, which is starting now, which is ISL. They're into ISL. Anita Ambani is all over the place as far as her passion for sports, and she's promoting sports in India, right? Try and see if you can get an internship or some kind of assignment with these companies, and then pursue it. Don't worry about the qualifications so much, but only because there are so many people coming out of BMM and BMS and BBA that if you have to stay one step ahead, and if you do a post-graduation, even one-year courses like you have as Symbiosis and XIC and etc., you have 1 year, you have the advantage of pushing through the door in an agency or in a company. But do that because it will give you a broader perspective of the interest that you have in mind.
So true. Also, there are questions, I want to work in OTT platforms or channels. And I know Disha is into channels after an MBA from Wellinger. So yeah. What roles, because these are not purely communication roles, they are not mixed roles now, merged roles.
Marketing.
They are marketing, but also involve communication. Because they will be amplifying the entire event or something. Correct. So what kind of roles happen in channels or a YouTube or a OTT platform typically? And is there a PR role in that? Or a communication combined role in that?
Yes. So if you look at Biocom, You look at the erstwhile Star, which has now become Disney, and you look at all these now. For example, I was just reading up somewhere that in the last 3 weeks of COVID, say almost 20, 24, 25 days, the jump of OTT platforms has gone up by 62% over the previous 6 months. The consumption of just your screen time on television and OTT plus your digital formats has gone up by 52, 54%. And this is going to continue. So this jump, this spike will not remain there, but it will significantly rise over a period of time. It's already at 25, 30%. So I think it'll go up about 40%. Now that's where everybody's going. In the OTT, so managing channels, it's a marketing and communications job. So you again look at the consumer, the viewer, as to what the viewer is looking at, because he's also getting exposed to the global content, right? He can go to any channel today and he can consume a global talent. He can see American shows, he can see Chinese shows, he can do Mexican shows. What is he really interested in? How do you in the back end go and produce those shows for him? And then amplify that for him to have his eyes on your channel and not to change the remote. It's a great integrated job with marketing and communication. So it's very interesting. And they also pay you not bad. The culture is great. You have to work really hard. My daughter is in Sydney and she was in Viacom, passed out from Melinka. It's a good 12-hour job. But the high that you get when your every monthly report comes saying, oh, you know what? I have gone up my market share has gone up by 1.5%, 2%. Oh, I beat in this channel this month and that week. That high is something different, right? Unlike a very large company like an FMCG or automobile company or a mobile company where the market shares might take 1 year, 2 years to move. Even Hindustan Lever market share, say from a RIN or a Lux, might take, if you do a damn good job, might move by 1% because the consumer base is so high. They're talking to 800, 900 million people. And here you're talking to maybe 5 million or 3 million or 2.5 million people. So the high is great, and I think OTT, Sam, and channels is the way to go. And they're looking at people.
Perfect. So Paresh, now I will open up for people to ask us live. So friends, those who are having questions ready, please raise your hand at the button down, and I will take you live one after the other. Yeah. So first I see Smita Deshmukh. Smita, I'm going to take you live. Then there is Devendra Bhatia, second. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Miss Smita, you can ask your question. You have to unmute your mic, please.
Hi, good evening. Interesting times to be. Paresh, actually, I'm a former journalist and I ventured into PR after 22 years as a journalist. I was in Times for 15 years.
Wow.
And I can see that as of now, crisis communication seems to be on the top of the mind of every person in Comcom or whether it's in the government. So I wanted to know, how do you react to Government of India's crisis communication vis-a-vis COVID-19? What are the things you're happy about? And what are the things you would like the government to do in the coming weeks? Because as you know, it is a developing pandemic.
Yeah. Hi, Smita. Good that you could join our fraternity. I've got great regards for the journalists because that's a very tough job. And then when you come into an agency or a client, I think it just makes your the company's life easier because you know what the reader wants.
Yeah.
So before I answer your question, there's one thing that I missed out by talking about is about crisis management and how to deal with crisis management. Typically in all my roles earlier, especially in the last 20 years, I've looked at issues management, Smita, and not looked at crisis because obviously crisis can come up any point of time. Typically it'll come always on a weekend when you had a hard week and you just want to relax and have a morning massage, and that is the time when the crisis will hit you. But by and large, if you can map the risk areas, the vulnerability areas to which there could be an impact on your company's businesses or reputation. So I'm sure as a journalist for so many years and times you know what I'm talking about. But very seldom the corporate communication people or the agency people don't look at the risk areas. They think it's the job of the CFO or the job of the chairman and the apex to look at the vulnerability and say, look, I will manage it. but the red flags coming from the reputation point of view. So if any leak here or any leak there, and I'm sure you being a journalist earlier, that one little news that will go out, it'll multiply, and in today's world, it'll multiply not 10 times, it'll multiply 100 alpha times, right? Because social media and all of that. So one thing that I've successfully done, by and large, and you can't really win all the battles, is if you can cover 80, save your butt on this 80% of the risk factor, including the pandemic. And why I'm saying is pandemic, because we work in Australia a lot, and we have got a lot of stuff coming in from China. We got a lot of stuff coming in from South America. We always said that in case if there is any force majeure that might happen, in these, so one is fire, one is IT, somebody's hacking it, one is saying that, look, if I don't have my governance model in place, I might fall flat in the eyes of the rating agencies, for example, right? So these are all risk factors. If I go to Myanmar, will I be hit on my image? So all that stuff will be risk factors that are listed down 10, 20, 25. We have these monthly meetings with all the senior people, including the group CFO, the corporate affairs guys, the legal guys, the chairman, the CEOs of the business, every month, and we review these risk factors. And how do you mitigate and how do you close the gap and say, if this hits you, what would be your reaction and how prepared are you? Right? So this is one thing. So I focus on issues management. Specifically with crisis on COVID, I think we knew right from December this is coming up, right? We took it very, 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 very lightly. I think we are sheer lucky. I'm a great fan of the Prime Minister Modi, great fan of him. I'm a very apolitical person, but I must tell you that I think not just Modi, but a lot of chief ministers, which are non-BJP guys, also have taken a call, like Maharashtra government. If you see, look at Punjab, look at Haryana, look at Kerala, the way they have acted in locking down the country has helped us. And I think we're also very lucky because, as Indians, our immune systems are so strong with all the antiviral drugs that we've had right from the time we were born, right? Whether it is anti-malarial or antiviral drugs, that has helped us to not have so many big numbers. From a direct question as to what's the government done, I think in a country with 125 crore people, out of which 80 crores are literally on a daily wages, on a day-to-day basis, including the farmers. I'm talking about small farmers having 1 acre plus, and the autos and the maids and the ward boys, etc. I think that 80 crore people are so far surviving. There could be issues in a country of our size and the hunger that we've got here, but the kind of packages that they've released, the amount of NGOs and community work that is happening in delivering food on a day-to-day basis, the governments opened up their PDS systems. I think so far so good. If these numbers become bad, which I think we are just about going to flatten the curve, but the next 4 or 5 days are important. If we can go through the next 5 or 7 days, I think we'll be okay. But if this explodes from here, then I think we'll have social unrest. We will have problems. We will have people on the road. There could be looting, there could be arson, because typically in developed markets, this is what happens when you see that I don't get my right? So going forward, I think the only way what he could do is to make sure that there's a lockdown, ensure that we've started some testing. We're very late in testing because it's a poor country and we were not prepared. But we just got the kits yesterday, and I think they've started rapid testing. So they're doing the best in the circumstances. It's easier in the US, but look at where US has gone. It's very easy in Europe, but look at where Europe has gone, right? I mean, I know of people, my friends, batchmates who are in Spain and Italy, and they are literally, I can't see them on a video call because I can see them crying, I can see them nervous, and they think that the end is near. That situation, touch wood, we don't have it here. It's just a little bit of a logistics and the hunger part that we'll take care of.
Thank you.
Paresh, great. I'll take the next question, Paresh.
Yes.
Yeah, but I can also see questions coming in from students, But students, please understand, sir has already addressed a lot of your questions which you are posting, in isolation. So yes, journalism digital marketing, social media content, all mixing into the world of public relation and corporate communication. So most of, and of course, what to do after graduation, as Paresh has already mentioned, a post graduation in media, entertainment, corporate communication, public relation is helpful. Which college to go for, you can decide. We can discuss that later. But yes, other than just being a fresher, it becomes difficult to get into good companies. So it will help to do some programs. There are questions about online education. Yes, definitely online is growing rapidly. There are a lot of digital PR programs, digital marketing courses online from good universities. You definitely can do that, and all kind of learning is only going to help you. Okay, there is no one qualification. I did BMM, now 20 years I will work on BMM and BCom and BMS. No, all senior leaders also are learning every day. I'm sure Paresh also is spending a lot of time in reading, learning, seeing some HBR reviews, or personally undergoing
Absolutely.
master classes. So if you are young, markets are not going to be great for next 6 months to 1 year. This is the time when you should actually learn and develop. We have been telling this every day. Go for integrated programs, learn all these things. When things open up, you will be ready. Yeah, so that's for a lot of questions coming on courses and online and offline. Yeah, and there are a lot of good colleges in Mumbai city. Paresh mentioned about Xavier's Institute, XIC, Symbiosis in Pune, Wellinkar runs a media entertainment program. There is MET, and there are many more who do this. So you can research that. Yanko can help you on that. I'll take the next question, Paresh. Yeah, I'm getting in Deepa Dikshit live, and then there is Nimesh Dhakan. Okay, so I'm taking Deepa Dikshit live.
Yes, Deepa.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
we
Deepa.
can.
Okay, hi Paresh. Thanks for the lovely session. I'm from Wellinkar, and what I wanted to understand is how do you think academia and industry can come together and work towards making what we offer more relatable, more more close to what is real time.
Okay, great.
Great.
I think a few years ago, in fact, Sam had invited me to Wellinkar for precisely this. And I think Wellinkar is one of the institutions with, and I know Symbiosis and SIBM and also XIC does a lot of this stuff. They invite a lot of clients and companies into the colleges to close the gap between what the student expects and what the corporate expects. Sometimes the gap is so big. It's a great question, Deepa, because you might be doing a course and you think, okay, we are living in this beautiful, nice little cocoon, and I've got these 3 chapters on media and 4 chapters on communications and 5 chapters on sustainability, and you do some kind of corporate work, etc. But what the company is expecting you is totally different sometimes, right? They expect you to come and say, oh my God, you are the best corporate com person ever born on the face of the earth, right? So like you said, every client and every company wants gods to join them. And it's very difficult to find jobs straight out of college. Constant interaction with company executives, and need not be a very top hotshot guy. It can just be somebody at the middle management level who can come and talk to you and engage with you without a PowerPoint presentation as to what his function is all about. Ask him questions, whether it is from he's from operations, he's from technical side, he's from IT, he's from marketing, he's from he's from corporate affairs. Try and get from your college as many people and say, what do you expect us to do from the media and entertainment and corporate communication point of view, and what do you expect us to deliver, and what are the behavior that you need to see from us? What is the kind of arms that I will bring in to the college? So I think there is something that you need to get more interactive with corporates, and only then you will see that there's a huge amount of gaps that will be closed. But like I said earlier, only when you join an agency, join a company, and the best learning is on the job, Deepa. The best learning will be on the job, because you will see not one, and I can tell you, corporate communication and PR agencies are very complex in the sense our jobs are not easy. Maybe as compared to an HR or a marketing, I'm not saying that their jobs are easier, but because we fight and we deal with multiple situations on an hourly basis, right? So say morning you're working on some issues, at 11 o'clock you're working as a press release which has to go out. At 4 o'clock, there is something totally different that has come up in some crisis with your, say, community, and protests is happening there. Or there is some news that has come up from international saying, oh, we just realized that this is what is the group doing. So you're constantly looking at variety of issues, and you will learn on the job. But expectations are what? I'll go back to just one thing: the passion to work for the brand. Do not feel bad about whether you know everything or you don't know anything. Doesn't matter. Like Sam said, I'm still learning. Just yesterday, I was learning some stuff on what's happening with the US and China trade post-COVID is over. And it's mind-boggling. I didn't know that. And there are all kinds of WhatsApp. You know, WhatsApp is the most fake industry, as you know, that we keep getting. But when you read these articles, you realize, oh my God, you still don't know anything. So don't worry about the expectation too much. They want you to be passionate. They want you to be highly committed to what you are doing. And you are willing to learn. That is enough. Whatever you've done in your 3 years and your post-graduation or without post-graduation, it'll carry you through. Just remember the brand is the hero.
Thank you, Paresh. Thank you.
And remember, you've got confidence.
Yeah. So Paresh so rightly said. In fact, you know, the initial days of business schools and colleges working just with companies where we would to do some research kind of work are over now. It's, as you said, it's more regular and frequent interactions that will be needed, and technology is going to help that. As colleges like Wellinkar and the other players come in the picture to work closely with companies, I think companies also can now integrate with our learning management systems and
Correct.
give, you know, online internships or work which is meaningful. You know, so that level of integration will happen, and there are many faculty members which I can see on the, you know, on the panel, the list today, and I think they will also echo the same sentiments that areas where now technology has taught us how to work remotely. You know, so companies and academia will work together. In fact, at Yanko, we are creating content. So we are working with Dentsu now. So we are creating very meaningful. So if digital marketing has maybe 10 aspects: search, content, social media, we are pre-creating content from the best guys like you who are speaking there for 2 hours, 3 hours, and this is licensed content going for students at a very low price or no price. But then that is one level which at Yanko we are working, but I think it's a closer integration. I will like to request, you know, yesterday also we couldn't have the chairman board of studies at the University of Mumbai for the mass media program, but Dr. Sundaraj Rajdeep ji, if you are there, please raise your hand. I wanted you to be here because then they drive it for all BMM colleges in the city, you know?
Right.
Dr. Rajdeep, are you? Please raise your hand. Otherwise, I can't identify you. Okay. Till then we will take.
You know, on your, you know, Sam, on your previous comment that you made on the courses, etc. I just want to add to what also Deepa said. Is, you know, I have a team of 40, 50 people now, and that's growing every year, and I still think that some of the team members who with orientation. So I'm going to come back to you and say that how can we have a reorientation of corporate com teams, brand custodian teams with the latest trends, new age media trends, and, you know, come to Wellinkar or go to Symbiosis or wherever and do a 2-week with you, you know, in house, so that they also kind of, you know, because every day that we work, we are then back to work and then we're kind of learning on the job. But I think some orientation is very important. So even corporate comp teams need orientation all the time.
Yes, because we come up with a lot of innovations on creativity, design thinking areas, which a company may get it after some time, you know, but this is going on as research in most of the good colleges today.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I will take Sujoy Bose now live. And then one second. I think Dr. Sundar, I cannot see him again. Okay, Sujoy ji, I am taking you live now. Yeah,
Hi, Sujoy.
Hello. Sujoy, please speak.
I think we lost his line. Okay, Sujoy's back.
Sujoy, please, ask your question, Sujoy.
Can you hear me now, Mr. Chaudhary?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can, Sujoy.
Mr. Chaudhary, I'm not a student. I run a small retail agency in Mumbai. and I'm in the arena of retail communication, partly mass communication,
Right.
uh, getting into the digital space arena and data science arena. One of my passion is teaching, and I'm a lecturer in Symbiosis in
Nice.
communication, retail communication.
Hmm.
What I've been trying to do for quite some time, that's before the COVID, was to link digital, social media, PR, and all this together in my presentation, so that when I share my experience with these 145, 150 beautiful students who I deal with every day, uh, they get to learn more about what is happening in the market, how an organization is supposed to run, and what are the nuances and how to overcome all these. Now, do you really think I'm not very good at this angle of PR which you were talking about, but hearing what you have said right now gives me a lot of energy, a lot of boost.
That's lovely.
By saying that I should do something about this, because each time I go to Symbiosis, I don't go there to teach. I go there to share. I learn
Hmm.
from the questions they ask is worth in millions. That's how I learn from them.
Great.
And there are times I feel that they are asking questions which are a little out of my arena of teaching, which is not a very good feeling at that point of time. Because if I am going there to share, I might have everything right in place. And PR is one thing which I am a little weak in. So how do you think I should take it forward?
Sujit, what we'll do is we can always meet
Yeah,
offline. We'll
yeah,
meet you. I'll
please.
meet you offline. I'm in Mumbai. I'm based here, and I think you're based here. I speak in Symbiosis very often. I love that campus there. A couple of campuses there. Let's meet us offline, and I
Sure.
think take you through the whole journey and maybe share some decks with you, so that'll give you some added ammunition to speak with students.
So now I have, Paresh, I have the chairman, Board of Studies, University of Mumbai for Mass Media, Dr. Sundar Rajdi. Finally, we have you after 3 days. So make best use of the opportunity.
Great, Dr. Sundar. Great.
Dr.
Hello.
Sundar, yes,
Hello.
go ahead, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Am I audible you?
Yes, very audible, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, Paresh, this is Dr. Sundar Rajdeep. I am head of the department in communication and journalism at the University of Mumbai,
Right.
wherein we offer a 2-year full-time master's program in the public relations.
Yeah.
And we teach basically the public relations, the crisis communication, corporate communication, public relations in the private sector, as well as the public sectors. Now my questions is, what kind of challenges would be in PR sector during this pandemic situations?
Yeah. I think the whole world is talking about this right now. Only the first week that we had the lockdown between the March 22nd and 28th, the first lockdown, we were worried about health. The media spoke about health. The government spoke about health. Everybody was talking about health. But the last 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, the whole world is talking about economy. They're talking about economic decline. They're talking about the problems of people and how much people have lost and what is so employment, jobs, consumption, all of that. And I think that's a great question. Markets, the way the markets are, doctor, markets always rebound back, right? Because markets, I'm saying the Sensex markets, the SEBI markets are always 5 months ahead of the actual situation on the ground. So they'll come back. What will happen is India will become far more stronger than what it was earlier. The government has anyway been thinking of how to make India the business destination around the world. For the last 20 years, the way India has grown is only grown because of the number of people that we've got in this country who are buying, who are eating, who are consuming, and the economy is also growing, so the incomes are also growing. So consumption is growing. Sheer number of volumes of people, therefore you have the entire global brands in India. In fact, when you go to some countries in Italy and France, you won't find so many brands there than you find in this country. Okay. On top of that, the the growth of entrepreneurs in India and the kind of unicorns that we are generating is also is one of the top 3 in the world. Having said that, what is going to happen now is I think a lot of companies will withdraw from China, from the manufacturing sector, okay, and they will come to destinations like India. Vietnam, remember, is again a great country that's growing. Bangladesh is growing. Bangladesh has problem of land and water, etc. But Vietnam, Sri Lanka, India by the sheer size and what we can offer. India will be the next China to me in the next 15 to 20 years. So I think we have to look at long term, medium to long term, and not short term. Short term, fine, all this will come back. There will be problems of in terms of whether Modi did a great job. The opposition will say, no, they've done a very bad job. All that political things will happen. I think people are getting smarter in this country. People are getting more educated in this country. People understand what is good for them, what is bad for them, irrespective of the governments are done or bad. They know how to take care of each other. They know what is the role in the broader sense of being a citizen and not a consumer. So India will grow from here. There's a lot of learning that has happened. Digital has grown. Print will go down a little bit. We are now this frantic travel that we keep on doing. In fact, at Adani Group, we're still thinking of how to, not just our group, but around corporates as to how to cut travel by 30%. Sustainable solutions. Why are we going to pollute the planet when we are absolutely okay? Do we really have to travel from here to Delhi or here to Singapore or here to US like a mad hawk? No. So I think sustainability, corporate governance, the ESG will come to the fore much more than it was all these years, much more. And I'm talking about the 5,000, 8,000 top corporates in India. I'm not talking about the multinationals which are already anyway on that path. So to me, PR will change from just traditional PR to digital and social media. It'll change to, it'll say, how do you target influencers? Who are your activists? Who are the people who are concerned with the environment? And therefore, how do you engage with them? How do you create a governance structure and environmental structure in the back end so that you become a socially responsible company? So I think social responsibility, ESG will go, it'll shoot with accelerated speed in the front. And all this will augur very well for the company's reputation and India's reputation. So this is going to happen. And it'll just going to be very good for us, Doctor.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Dr. Rajdeep, for the question. And again, I would like to thank you to create this opportunity for student and faculty in the university structure. Yeah. And now I will take Mr. One second. Okay, Mr. Sandhir Sharma. I'm going to take Mr. Sandhir Sharma. After that, there is Leena Sahni. Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Sharma, you can speak, please. Mr. Sharma, you have to unmute your mic.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Samirji and Pareshji. It's indeed a wonderful session. I'm Dr. Sandhir, Dean Chitkara Business School.
Oh.
I was just wondering that if I can take your suggestion and probably on behalf of all these schools, we are running 11 different specializations in our business school for MBA programs. In last 2 years, I have seen a very different thing happening. Many of my HR students are in good positions for marketing roles. And many of our marketing students are taking their career forward in some HR positions. So
Yes.
there is a lot of interdisciplinary movements happening. Though we ourselves created those electives: marketing, finance, human resource, supply chain. But what I'm noticing is that in the last 2-3 years, these things are getting integrated, and probably the industry requires a skill set which can cater to all these specializations. So how to create, as a B school, how to create that kind of integration while dealing with the students, and how to convince the students that, look, if you're a marketing student, you can look up to a finance company, you look up to a PR company, you can go to an HR firm, and see, ultimately you may have to do everything that you have learned throughout your MBA program, but don't consider yourself apart or a different from any other domain of business management. So how to integrate all those things and bring it to the classroom for the students, and students need to be convinced that yes, each elective, each domain is good for them. They need to understand the balance sheets, be as a sales guy or an HR guy. So the finance is an important part of it. So I want your suggestion and comments so that we can actually work on it.
Yeah, I think Sam will be the best guy to answer this question because this is very at the level of school and MBA. Yeah, and then I'll give my comments.
Yeah. So Paresh, what Dr. Sandhir is saying, first let me introduce Dr. Sandhir. Sir, I did not know it was you, because I didn't see the doctor there. So students and faculty members in Mumbai city, Dr. Sandhir Sharma leads the management business school vertical at the Chitkara University in Chandigarh. It is one of the finest universities.
Yes, of course.
I have personally visited. So
of course.
Dr. Sandhir has been one of the very driving force behind. They have more than 25-30,000 students in an integrated campus.
Wow.
And the founders Ashokji Chitkara and his son Mohit Chitkara and this entire team, they have done a phenomenal job of multidisciplinary things. Right? And it's commendable that from there they are operating and they have their relationships across the country. So with this kind of a backdrop, Paresh, what sir was saying makes a lot of sense because the days of silos are gone. I'm a marketing guy, I'm a finance guy, I'm a HR guy. So
Completely.
it's a learning integrated model. And as also, so one way of solving that issue is, having interdisciplinary kind of joint teaching, learning, lectures, and case study approaches work very well because the case covers a lot of aspects of that. And this is actually the essence of any management education or graduation education, because the student now knows 10 different things in spite of he being into that kind of a model, So, and in fact, we work very closely with Chitkara for the Harvard Business School University collaboration, where even for engineering and for hotel management and legal, they are incorporating Harvard case studies in the program.
Okay.
So very, very relevant, Dr. Sandhir, what you are saying. It is about being an integrated manager and not about a silo-driven person.
Yeah.
Paresh, probably you can add to it because
Yes.
what happens there.
Yes. So, Doctor, great to connect with you, and I think someday Chandigarh is my favorite city. So the next time I'm there, we'll definitely look up to you. And when you come to Bombay, do come home. I think if you're not an all-rounder in terms of basic understanding, I'm not talking about skills or education. Basic education is important to lay the foundation. But I think if you're not an all-rounder, it might not help. That's why in my previous remarks, I've mentioned about why is it important to read up on brand management, marketing, consumer insights, getting some 2-3 months course of how digital PR works, how social media works, the fundamentals of finance, fundamentals of how technology is changing communication, not technology in terms of operations and mechanics, but technology to where communication is exploding around the world, podcasts and all of that. I think the fundamentals of communication and communications today is the best tool for any company. It's called the marketing tool of any company, which is communications. There are 4 simple aspects to it. And this can be applied to any function, HR, finance, corporate affairs, whether you're an automobile company, mobile company, you're a small entrepreneur, startup, or you're a Adani or a Reliance Industries. As to where you are today, that means where you are in terms of brand perception, what people think of you, the ecosystem that you've got around you, good, bad, ugly. Where do you want to go from here? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. How will we reach that journey so that the whole strategy part will come in? And whether have you reached there or not? These 4 steps will make you, you can apply the integrated formula to these 4 steps. But if you don't have the basic knowledge of that domain, then it becomes difficult. And getting domain knowledge of even the most boring industry can be very easy because you have the passion. So domain knowledge, having some understanding of how the communication works, and saying these are the 4 steps that I want to always think about and apply as a communications manager, then life becomes easier. But integrated is the way to go. You cannot, there's no silos. You cannot go and say, oh, I have only worked in a finance, my father's been a CA, I want to be only in a financial management company. It will not work. Because even the banks are not issuing or not giving financial communication. They are consumer connect companies. It's about consumer behavior. It's about consumer loyalty. It's about brand positioning. So every organization is where marketing, communication based, messaging. So integration is the way to go. There's no doubt. And you can actually dovetail that in your final year and also in your PGDM courses.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Sandeep. Lena Sane. Paresh, can we take 2-3 questions more? There are
Yes, surely.
10 more minutes will go.
No problem.
Yeah. So, Lena Sane, I'm taking you live. Yes, please go ahead, Lena. Lena Sane, if you are there, you have to unmute your mic, please.
Yeah. Hi, Samir. Am I audible
Yes.
now?
Yes, very much. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Paresh. Hi, Samir.
Hi, Lena.
Actually, I'm an ex-employee of ExxonMobil, and I have a rich experience of logistics of last 60 in logistics supply chain.
Wow.
And after that, I've left my job, and last 5 to 6 years, I'm at home. My question is, like, I was always interested in PR communication. Somewhere I feel I'm very good at communication. But having a rich experience in logistics, and right now I'm doing a garments business, can I cope up with the digital marketing world?
Absolutely, Lena. Absolutely. I mean, ExxonMobil is a great brand, but even if you had worked 16 years in any small company, every day that you go to work and interact with people and grow the company, even by yards or miles or centimeters, is an experience by itself. And that's a lot of experience that you've got. You know, learning digital, till the time I came to Levers, that's when I think digital social media started a little bit. I was damn bad at it. You know, I could not understand the technology part. I could not understand hashtags. I could not, simple basics. Even today, when I deal with my own, I have a very large digital and social media, smart guys, all the young chaps there. Every day I'm still learning. Every day I'm learning from them. So, but if you are interested in communications and using digital communication for your garments business, it is something that you will learn within, I think, 15 or 20 days. You will understand what it means, and within 30 days you'll be a master. Trust me.
Okay.
So
Okay, sir.
there is no age. And Elena, if I can recall, we have worked together around 15-20 years back.
Of course. Samir is my ex-colleague.
Oh, wow. I started my career with Exxon at one time, Paresh.
I see.
So around 2001, 2002, I'm talking about. Great, Lena. Nice connecting with you. We can connect offline. I didn't know it was you. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Paresh, before I came in education, I used to sell oils and lubricants to truck drivers. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mobile.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Sanjana M.A. Mayan. Yeah, Sanjana. Yeah, Sanjana, go ahead, please.
Hi, hello.
Yeah,
Hi,
please go
Sanjana.
ahead.
Hi. I just had a question about PR and was wondering if you could elaborate upon the storytelling aspect that a PR job has, and what role does that aspect play when there is no crisis situation?
Sure. Yeah. So, Sanjana, there are three kinds of media tools that you have for yourself, right?
Right.
One is your own media space. Own media is your own websites, your own brochures, your annual reports, something that you own it, you create it, and you communicate outside. So you have full control on that. It's called own media. The other one is something called the earned media space, where I through storytelling, I get my journalist friends and media, and whether it's social media, influencers, etc., to write about me. And that's about earned media. So I don't pay for it. I give out a story.
Right.
It excites the stakeholders, and then they write about me and they write about us, right? So it's free. The third part is the paid media bit, where advertising is a paid media route, right? So you see these advertisements on television, on print. It's called media buying. I curate my messages, I buy the space and I advertise.
Right.
So in storytelling in each of these spaces is the fundamental. It's like your heart of everything that you do in communications. And by the way, storytelling is not like what someone would just say, wow, this is such a beautifully written story, but how do I believe you? The believability, the credibility of that story, you can get caught 4 years later because everything is on the net now, isn't it, Sanjana?
Yes.
So whatever story you say, it has to have a source of being honest, putting all the facts on paper, no faffing. And when you're promising something, you have to hold to that promise even 5 years later. If a Greenpeace comes and says, oh, this is what you had said in 2020 in April, and now I'm catching you. So storytelling is about communicating how honest and how factual and how transparent you are about your product, your company, your chairman, your thought leaders, etc., etc., etc. And this is especially in the non-crisis times. So if you're an M&A and you buy off something and then you say, okay, fine, this is market share was 20%, but I'll put 25%. All this will impact your stock markets. It'll impact credibility. And then once you lose your credibility, very difficult to come back. So storytelling is important, but the simpler it is told, the more honest it has been told, the more transparent it is sold, that is storytelling.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Sam.
I am on mute. So I am requesting Mr. Doraiswamy Govindan to come live, please. And after that, there is Deepika Unni who can again ask. Yeah. Mr. Doraiswamy, please. Sir, you unmute your mic, please. Mr. Govindan. Okay, I will take him next. Mr. Doraiswamy, you are there online? No,
let's move on to the other one.
Yeah, we'll move to the other one. Yeah. Yeah, Deepika Unni. Yes.
Yes. Thanks, Samir.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, Paresh.
Hi, Deepika.
And then there is Damanjeet VRK after this. Yeah, Deepika. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, that's okay. Hi, Paresh. I'm also from Wellington. We have a 2-year full-time MBA PGDM program on media and entertainment.
Right.
Nani, unmute yourself, please.
That.
Yes, Deepika, I can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry. So every year in the program, we have a couple of students who are extremely keen on making a career in corporate communication. I know you mentioned in your talk today that they should focus on digital marketing, brand communication, and things like that. Is there anything specific you would be, for example, looking for, or corporates look for in candidates? Maybe they're freshers, maybe they are have some experience, but not necessarily in corporate communication. Is there something as faculty or the Career Management Center that we can guide them as to what they should be studying over and above their curriculum, what they should do to then be the ideal or a viable candidate for companies?
Yeah. So, Deepika, how it has worked a lot when I speak at the XIC, for example, or Symbiosis, and similar questions keep coming up.
Right.
Earlier, there was somebody who asked me about qualification, and as a fresher, what do I do? What are they looking for? What are the corporate expectations and all of that, right? And I think I've answered that in fair detail. Yeah. It will get easier for you, since you're a faculty at Wellington, to segregate people. So suppose you have a batch of, say, 50 people, right? And it doesn't matter what the sizes of each groups. You divide them into, say, 10 groups. And then you say that this group's segmentation is by saying that what is your sector interest that you've got.
Correct.
And I can tell you, maximum guy will say marketing, consumer, advertising, digital and marketing and social media space. So because that's where the new horizon is going forward, right? They don't want to be in a very unsexy place. They want to be in a very sexy place. They want to be a place where sector is growing and therefore higher salaries and higher career growth, etc. And which is but natural. So you first identify that. Match that with the qualification, what they have come earlier. So whether they've done the BA, BCom, whether they've done BMM or engineers or whatever, right? You match that. So you will by filter take off the enthusiasts, and say, hang on, you're an engineer, your left brain is working very well. I think you should be in this, or you should be in this sector. It could be automobile, it could be telecom, it could be, whatever. Try and segregate that out in order of preferences. So one guy will have, say, at least 1 or 2 sectors. He will not say 1 sector, he might have 2 sectors, even 3. Once you segregate that out, it's easier for you to then say, in these 2 sectors, these are the 15 companies that you should look at. Right? And obviously everybody chooses the best. So don't do that. Look at entrepreneurs. Look at a company that's not really a startup, but supposing which has got a angel funding and got a VC, say 2 rounds of VC. So 3 years, 4 years into the system, right? Where they've got some funding. So the ideas might work better. So even look at startups, look at middle management companies, look at top companies. Once you have that triangle and the pyramid with you, it's easier for him to then study those companies, right? Study it. And then go for the interviews or, apply and then, whatever it happens. He'll be a much better person to interact with. And what do I want? If I'm looking at an MBA student, so I'll say, okay, I'll look at the qualification, find decent grades, etc., etc. And then I will talk to that person. And if I see some kind of domain knowledge, I'm not asking him to be like me. He can never be because he's just a starter. But that passion of saying, okay, he's done some homework. It's just not opened my website in the morning at 9 o'clock and got into a cab at 9:30.
Right.
He's done some homework and he knows what to expect and is willing to learn. That is enough for me to take him. That's a very good way of training people to, do better engagements with corporates or agencies.
Right. Okay.
Great. Thanks, Paresh.
Thank you so much.
Just last one question. Yeah. There are so many here, Paresh. I am sure you can see that how the speed with this.
Yeah, that's right.
But then I'm seeing somebody like, Damanjeet VRK. He's been there for a long time, I feel. Damanjeet, you will be asking a question. Be very, very brief so that we can take one or more question, One sec, Damanjeet. Yeah. Damanjeet? He's disappeared. Okay. Okay. Dorai Swami, Dorai Swami Govindan, you can ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is Mr. Samir. Mr. Paresh, good evening. This is Dorai Swami here.
Yes, Mr. Dorai Swami. Tell me.
Basically, actually, I was trying to pitch in for my daughter, but unfortunately, something happened to her device. She's finally a BMM. Then I had to, log into through my device.
Yes, sir. Good. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, it's very interesting listening to Mr. Paresh about saying, since I'm also working for a company, we are basically in the broadcasting.
Yes.
I've been promoting JVC like quite some time. I was Sony and all that.
Right.
So we are in a very niche domain. There is a broadcasting.
Sir, excuse me, can you ask the question? What could be?
I'm just looking at how in our field, like how digital marketing will be very the same. Like for example, we say suppose we don't have to move. Like for example, the future looks like we don't have to move much. We'll have to be stationary. And how do you think it will work in our kind of field?
Digital and social media, I'll put it very briefly, is the only way to go now forward. Remember, there are multiple mediums which will remain in India because it's a developing market. But the way their digital media and social media are growing only because people are getting media, internet savvy, mobile savvy. So everything will now move to mobile in the next, say, few years. Mobile marketing. Today, you'll see WhatsApp has overtaken every other form of reaching to consumers, even bigger than direct mail or whether it's podcast or whether it's video, whatever. WhatsApp has overtaken everybody. So for your business, the only way forward is social and digital.
So true, great. And in fact, so just to sum it up, it's, and I'll take the last point which Paresh made as the first point. There is nothing more remaining now as traditional versus digital. We heard it for all these days. It is just all converged. So a lot of the young millennials or Gen Z don't know what is traditional communication. They don't read newspapers. They don't talk on a landline. They don't many times watch television on the big screen. So it's all now moving into digital. So that's one. So digital is going to impact every aspect of life, from the morning you get up till the night you sleep. Everything is on digital and on devices. In terms of the content and what youngsters should do, yes, they can go in for PR, corporate communication, social media, employer branding, and sports journalism. But then the understanding of an integrated media entertainment ecosystem is very, very important. On the question of whether we should go online programs or we should do classroom programs, in classroom, whether an 11-month post-graduation program is better or a 2-year program depends on your caliber, your fee payment capacity, the amount of time you are willing to invest into your academic curriculum. All those will the things matter to you. But yes, every kind of learning, a plain vanilla BCom, BMM is not going to take you any further, because the world is today about elimination and not about selection. Second, one aspect with Paresh, probably I didn't ask it then, but yes, you can be independent freelancers in the world of public relations. You can be content specialist, and there also you will need qualification. Nobody's just going to take you because you write very well. Then you will get 3 rupees per word. And we don't want to do that. You have the next 20, 30 years with you to grow in life. So wherever possible, as an educator, I would say, focus on postgraduate education. Look at good universities and colleges in the city if you are from Mumbai or nationally, and that will help you to do that. And before I end and I thank Paresh, again I would like to remind you, tomorrow we have a phenomenal session by Mr. Arun Iyer. Arun has been one of India's finest ad film maker, the best brands from Uber to a Google India campaign, to Google Maps, to your Byju's, to many of the Unilever brands are all made by Arun Iyer. He has been the chairman of Lintas. He's been the national creative director of Lintas, and now he runs a very unique concept which is known as Spring Brand Capital. They invest in your brand, they create. So Epigami kind of a campaign for Deepika Padukone, which you saw, is done by a company like Spring Brand, which Arun Iyer represents. And they take a stake in your company, they understand your brand, they do the campaigns for you, they get the celebrities for you, and then they become your venture fund through their marketing and branding and advertising knowledge. So Paresh is, tomorrow Arun is going to address us at 5 o'clock.
Fantastic.
Do join in for that program. And
Sure.
Finally, Paresh, thanks a lot to be a part of this Board of Studies in Mass Media, University of Mumbai and Yanko Executive Education joint masterclass, and guiding the students into what actually is this world of media and entertainment. And I'm sure after this, the students will realize it's a huge universe. You will fall short of time and ideas if you get into it, because we're handling from HR to crisis.
Correct.
And there is a challenge every day. And I would like to end it with a quote, risk is the only security in life, and the PR guys and the communication guys know it, They deal in risk and reputations every single day.
Correct.
So
I just want to make one last comment, Sam, that and I always keep telling people this, that this is the only function that you can impact people's lives the day you come to work or you don't come to work.
Yes.
So that is the beauty of communication and reputation management.
So true. Great. Thank you very much, Paresh.
Thanks for calling me.
Thank you very much, Sundar Rajdeep sir. And see you tomorrow all at 5 o'clock again for our grand finale. Tomorrow is the last session of this webinar masterclass on New Age Media Careers. I'm signing off. Dr. Samir Karkhanis from Yakko Executive Education. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.